Hey, it's Jeremy at Online Broadcast Blueprint, and I wanted to come on and talk in response to several emails I've gotten over the last few weeks. A lot of folks seem to kind of be in the same place, and I wanted to just come on and address this. By the way, thank you for your emails. Keep sending them to me, radiovalleymt@gmail.com. I love getting those emails. I love talking about this stuff. So feel free to always shoot me an email. But what I wanted to do is talk about Live 365. That tends to be a lot of the questions uh, that I get are about Live 365, how it works, the pros and cons. So let's just talk about the truth about Live 365. Now, having said that, I use Live 365. So many of these things I talk about as critiques, understand I still decided to go with Live 365. Many of the questions I get are around how does the music work? Excuse me, the licensing, just lots of questions around that. And of course, as soon as I start recording, I start coughing and sneezing. Sorry about that. So let's just talk about Live 365. First of all, in general, and I'll just get this right out of the gate. Radio.co, I believe, is a better platform. Everything I've looked at, it seems like the interface looks better. One thing that radio.co is way better at is their support and their training. Just go on YouTube and look for Live 365 training videos versus radio.co. I mean, there's no comparison, right? Radio.co is based in the UK, and they are always putting out new training material. Live 365, not so much. Live 365 support, not very good. Okay. I've never dealt with radio.co's support. I'm assuming it's going to be better. But again, I've never dealt with it. So if radio.co is better, why did I go with Live 365? One word: licensing. It's the only reason. That's the only reason. Live 365's platform is not terrible, but it's not great. But their pricing includes licensing. So you can get the basic license, which includes ads, 4 minutes an hour. They will play ads. It's $59 a month. And that includes licensing for North America, Mexico, US, Canada. It used to include UK. It doesn't anymore unless you want to pay a bunch extra. And that's really the fault of UK, right? They implemented new rules or whatever there. It's just, it did not make sense. And I understand that for Live 365 to eat those costs because of the increases to license in the UK. And so then Live 365 has an option that you basically have to pay an extra, I don't remember the amount, but it's a significant amount to get licensing for the UK also, which used to be included in that. It's not anymore. Not that big a deal to me. The vast majority of my listeners, especially for Radio Valley, they're in Montana and Idaho. So I don't really care about the UK or Mexico in terms of licensing. But licensing is included in Live 365, not included in radio.co. So radio.co, last I looked, their basic package is cheap. I mean, it's like $39, but that does not include licensing. So you start to add in the licensing a la carte that you would have to pay for yourself. You're going to be probably looking at 150, 100, $200 a month, right? So it's definitely, to me, worth it to use Live 365. Now, here's the other thing to keep in mind. Many of the critiques I have about Live 365 are about their AutoDJ. Okay. But you don't have to use their AutoDJ. I'm not using their AutoDJ for Radio Valley. I use Radio DJ software and I use an encoder. So I'm broadcasting on the platform, but via playout software and an encoder. So I'm not even using their AutoDJ, which is very limited. Okay. And with my other station, Classic Guitar Rock Radio, we are in the process of migrating to the same thing, right? We'll be using Radio DJ through the butt encoder and just using Live 365 as our platform. And you'll notice that's what most of the big internet radio stations do that you see on Live 365. They're just using an encoder and they're using their own system, whatever their playout software is, and then just using Live 365 as the platform. So if that's the route you're taking, Live 365 is great and you never have to deal with their auto DJ function. So one of the questions I got, in fact, I responded to a gentleman last night who had a lot of great questions, common questions. That's kind of what inspired me to make this video. How does music work? Do they have music? Do you have to upload your own music? You have to upload your own music, right? So you can, half of my music I probably burned from my CD collection, right? You can actually just burn the CDs onto your computer as MP3 files, and then you upload them to Live 365. So once they're uploaded, okay, they're in the cloud, right? You can play them on your station in Live 365. I said about half of my stuff came from CDs. The other half I bought, right? There are various sites where you can buy MP3s and download them, and then you upload them to Live 365. Okay. And one of the great things about having your music in the cloud, right? It's uploaded to Live 365 is that if I had to evacuate for 5 days here a few weeks ago, because I was running off Live 365, which resides on a computer here in my house, I lost power. We lost power for 5 days. And so it defaulted back to what was uploaded to Live 365. And I have it set up for just such an occasion, right? I have my backup playlist on Live 365 so that I ever lose power here, it just defaults to that backup. And so like in my backup system, I don't have commercials running, right? I just have pretty generic, just music running, some very generic liners and sweepers. But for 5 days, that's what was playing, right? So that's one of the upsides of having your music in the cloud is if you lose power at your house or whatever, it still keeps playing, right? But the limitations I've talked about with AutoDJ are that there's no real audio control. There's no automatic gain control. That's my big beef. The fade out, the transition points in your songs and the ability to control your audio. There is none with the AutoDJ on Live 365. So basically you upload a file, and here's why you have to prep your songs. And I did a video about this. However you decide to prep your songs, either in a bulk fashion, which is the smartest way to do it, or the way I showed you, just one song at a time, you got to prep your songs, meaning that if there's dead air at the beginning or the end, you got to trim that out, right? You got to even out the levels, because some songs are recorded really quiet. And when I'm doing this, I'm showing the waveform. That's what that represents. If they're really quiet, they're going to have a really small waveform, right? If they're really loud, they're going to be bigger, right? You want to level that out to where there's not that variance in the volume of your files, right? And the auto DJ function of Live 365 doesn't take any of that into account. It just plays from the beginning of the file to the end of the file, and then it triggers the next file, right? Where if you're using some sort of playout software, you can actually go into each individual track, and you can actually, first of all, Radio DJ, for instance, it automatically cues up to the beginning of the sound, right? So if you've got dead air at the beginning of the file, it'll automatically queue up to where the sound starts. So you don't have blank spaces. Same thing at the end, right? Once it gets down to a certain level, it cues the next song. But you can also set your cue points even earlier. Like, say, maybe you don't want your songs fading out really low. You can move the cue point further in to where once you get to a certain level, the next song starts, right? So you don't have that functionality with Live 365 if you're using their AutoDJ. Okay. So I think what happens is people do this longer. They realize, hey, you know, I want my station to sound a little more professional. So it's hard to do that with Live 365's AutoDJ. Now, there's a lot of people that use it the whole time. That's all they use is the AutoDJ, and that's fine. And you know what? To 85% of listeners, they probably don't even notice. It doesn't matter to them if there's a little dead air between songs or, you know, whatever. But to me, it drives me crazy. So it was worth it to me to make the move to a more professional type play out software. And you can play, once you do that, you can use the encoder and play it right on the Live 365 platform. So you're just kind of bypassing their AutoDJ. And that's great. So, yes, you have to upload your own music. Okay. You can do that by burning CDs. You can buy music from sites, but either way, you got to upload it and have it, you know, on your radio DJ account, right? You got to upload all that. Same with all your audio files, any sweepers, jingles, commercials, anything you make, file you make, you've got to upload, and you load it all in there. And then once it's there, you can schedule it. I use clock wheels. There are a couple ways. The clock wheels are basically, it's a rotation. You set up a rotation. Every file that you upload, you will select a type. What type of file is it? Okay. Is it a music file? Is it an ID file or a sweeper file? Is it a whatever it is, there are different types you can select. And then even in addition to that, there are categories. Now I use categories. I give every file is a certain category. And you make these all up. So there's a lot of flexibility. You know, like for instance, I'll use Radio Valley as an example. It's simple. My music categories are 80s, or let me think, 70s, 80s. I have to think. Sorry, 60s, 70s, 80s. Those and country. Those are the only music categories I have. So every song I upload is going to fall into one of those categories: 60s, 70s, 80s, country. Okay. And then I create a clock wheel, which is a rotation that tells the system, you know, at the top of every hour, you're going to play a 70s song, then an 80s song, then a country song, then a 60s song. And you just set up that rotation. And in that rotation, you also put your IDs or your sweepers. You can record liners where you're talking, you insert those in there. And again, those are all assigned their own category. And so you just tell the system with the clock wheel the rotation that will play. And then they just draw from those. And again, you can select the algorithm. You can tell it to, okay, you're going to play an 80s song. You're just going to pick it at random. Or you can say, you're going to play the oldest song, meaning what's the song that it's been the longest since it was played? Play that one next. So there are a number of ways that you can choose the algorithm for how it's going to pull from your library to play. So hopefully that made sense. Guys, it's not scary. It's very user-friendly once you get in and see how to make the clock wheels. In fact, I have a video about making clock wheels. Check that out if you want to see that. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, and I've already talked about this. The equipment. You could conceivably have a radio station on Live 365 or anywhere else where you never talk. You don't even need a microphone. It's possible to do that. Okay. All you need is a computer. And if you're using their AutoDJ, that's all you'd ever need, just a computer. And then you can use AI tools to create commercials if you wanted to. You can have other people do it. But it is possible to run a radio station without even turning on your mic. Most people don't want to do it that way, but it is possible. So I tell most people you'll need a computer and you'll need a mic and some type of USB interface. If you use a USB mic, there you go. You plug your USB mic into your computer, you're ready to go. So then you can record files, audio files, you talking, whatever. You record commercials, whatever. Another thing, you don't have to play music. I mean, it's very flexible. I was talking to a gentleman last night and he's asked, well, can I play my podcast? Absolutely. Any file, any audio file you can play on your station. You just got to upload it, right? Upload it. And yeah, you can play it. So you could conceivably have a station and never play music. You could totally do that. It's possible. So the flexibility is there with Live 365. You can do all of that stuff, right? Without getting too much into the technology, I think if you're using an encoder, I mean, this would be super boring radio, but if you had your computer going into an encoder, then into Live 365, you could literally just talk. You could get on and talk all day on your station, going whatever audio you're playing on your computer goes into that encoder and it would play out on Live 365. You could do a live basketball game coverage, live football game. I have a friend who has a online radio station who they're doing high school sports. Okay. You can put anything you want on Live 365 or any other platform for that matter. So yeah, all of these questions a lot of people have, yeah, you can do just about anything, right? Why I use Live 365 is the licensing. Okay. Because I play music. And if you're going to play music, you need to be paying the licensing or you'll get in trouble. And you need some type of platform that actually takes it out to the internet, like a Live 365 or a radio.co or others. There's other platforms. There's lots of others. But that's why you need some type of platform. If you don't need licensing, go with something cheaper. There might even be free ones. I don't know. There might be. I don't know. I chose Live 365 because it handles the licensing. And it depends on what you want to put on your station. But you can put anything you want on your station. And guys, and I'm not condoning this, but because it's on the internet, it's not FCC regulated. The FCC has nothing to do with the internet. You could put anything. You could put any type of content on your station, right? I mean, unless it's just illegal. I mean, if you're doing really creepy stuff, that's not smart, right? But it's not regulated by the FCC. So if you wanted to be all political and talk only about one side, you could do that, right? FCC, they have the equal time rule, meaning that if you promote one political candidate, you have to promote another. You have to give them equal time, right? Not the case with internet. What other questions? Those were a lot of the things I wanted to talk about. Questions about music, how that works. I've mentioned the Live 365 trial. You get a 7-day trial. And watch a previous video where I give you the steps you want to take before starting that trial. Because what you don't want to do is what I did. I started the trial and then didn't have any music ready or anything. So I'm like hustling to get. What you want to do is have everything ready to go before you even start that trial. Because once you start the trial, you want to be able to start uploading all your music, get everything. So in a day or two, you're playing. Your music is playing and you can tweak things after you're starting to play it. But Live 365 is a good basic platform, not great. Their support's not great. Their audio capabilities not great, but they do cover the licensing, and that's why I went with them. Okay. Once you're on the platform, you don't have to use their AutoDJ. You can use your own playout software, which I do and a lot of other people do, and then via the encoder, it plays on their platform. Another thing you can do, which this seems kind of dumb to me, but on Live 365 with your phone, with the mobile app, you could go live just from your mobile phone on to Live 365, which I haven't really found. I mean, I guess you could just break in and say, I'm at the farmer's market. It'd sound really hokey, but you can do that. So you should go live from your phone. So I don't know. That's kind of a weird thing. I guess people might want to do it. But as I mentioned, the support, the training, way better on radio.co, but they don't cover licensing. And that was a deal breaker for me. That's why I went with Live 365. So I hope those questions helped. If you have any more questions for me, shoot me an email, radiovalleymt@gmail.com. I'd love to answer any questions you have. And check out, and I'm not plugging my stations just to get listens, but if you tune into Radio Valley, and I've got links for Radio Valley and Classic Guitar Rock Radio, if you tune in to both, you'll see the difference, because right now Radio Valley I'm using Radio DJ, so I'm not using the AutoDJ on Live 365, but I'm still using the AutoDJ on Classic Guitar Rock Radio. And if you listen, you kind of will see the difference. Okay, there's similarities just because I use the same type of style for my liners and stuff, but you'll notice it's a lot tighter board with Radio Valley right now than with Classic Guitar Rock Radio. Now, next month when we move Classic Guitar Rock Radio to Radio DJ, you'll see it'll sound a lot tighter as well. But you can check out both those stations. The links are in the description to kind of give you a feel for the difference between using an external playout software and the Live 365 native AutoDJ function. So hope that helps. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys. Take care.